Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Chapter 66 podcast. I'm Daniel, the first vice president of Chapter 66, and with me is Shannon Ellis, the president, and also our wonderful producer, Nikki. And we are here to talk about some different things today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something that is on a lot of people's minds right now, and that is awards. And we get multiple calls every day in our office. Hey, how much is my award? Or, hey, I see my award in HR Connect. I don't think it's what I selected, or whatever. So, Shannon, what would you like to tell our members about awards?
Well, it seems like this year, we National Office received the list of awards. Now, they usually do some spot checking and they break it down for individual chapters, and so we're still waiting for some of that information. However, our employees are already getting notice of these awards through HR Connect. So you can go through HR Connect through my personal information and through the benefits tab, and you can find out what your award is in most cases. Most employees we're hearing are already receiving that. The problem we're having is that the award amounts seem to be a little bit different this year. Now that could be because of the number of people in a pool. It could be that your rating and your salary has changed, and that all of that goes into calculating the shares, and based on that, the number of shares is how you're calculated on how much your award is. So NTU is asking employees that if you have concern that your amount is different than what you received last year and all factors seem to be the same, we're doing some spot checks. So you might want to contact the chapter through our email address at nteu.chapter.66@irs.gov, and in the subject line put awards, and we'd be happy to elevate that to national, let them do some calculations and make sure that those awards are still being calculated correctly based on the number of shares. So I just wanted to update you on that, but HR Connect seems to have the information before we do, and so get out there and check your awards.
And my guess is by the time this goes up, the award information will be sitting in our office. So if your HR Connect is
Yes.
not updated, you should be able to, if you're a member, call us and find out if you're eligible or not and the amount you should get. And
Right.
hopefully everybody gets the amount they should.
Right. We're hoping that they are correct, and that it's just the number of people that are setting on all fives this year has increased or something. But it definitely needs to be checked. So NTU National is interested in getting that information so we can check it. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we have to say about awards. And
Childcare. Let's
let's talk about the child care subsidies. That's another thing we get calls about and we get emails about. People say, hey, when's this going to start? How's it going to work? I have a lot of small children. How can I handle this, right? And I think 10 years ago it would have helped me a lot when my kids were really little. Now I don't need it as much, but I feel for people that need this because childcare is really expensive, and the IRS agreed to subsidize childcare. So what's taking so long?
Right.
What's taking so long, Shannon?
Well, unfortunately, with any new program, we run into some bugs. So they're working with a vendor so that we could have somebody monitor the applications, monitor the payouts, and that type of thing. So we did get a memo from National that is just advising us that IRS has notified NTU National that the child care subsidy program is being delayed. So at this time, we really don't have any good information other than it is coming. We're hoping to see it starting around January of 2022, but we need to get more information from IRS National.
My understanding is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon, my understanding is people will have a window where they apply for it.
Yes.
For the year.
Yes.
And if they miss the window, they're probably not going to get it.
Correct.
And
Correct.
Additionally, my understanding is the money is not going to go to the employee, but rather they're going to have to give all the information of their provider, and it's going to go to their provider. So
Correct.
It has to be like an official child care provider,
accredited childcare.
Right, so-
and that can be before and after school programs and things like that, as long
Okay.
as it's an accredited childcare facility. So that is
Yeah.
it is, and that money will be going directly to those centers.
Right. So if you've got like my grandma watches my kids or whatever, well, if they have to be an official child care facility, so they're going to have to go through whatever process people go through, and I don't know what that is, if
Right.
they want to be subsidized.
Right.
And again, if you're thinking this is going to be money in your pocket, well, no, it's not. No, it's not. And somebody asked me, so they're taking a long time to put this through. Are we going to get back paid because they're taking so long? And I don't
Yeah.
think so.
No, and the fact is, if you really have been paying child care, that $5,000 max, that cap at $5,000, that doesn't cover most child care facilities for the entire year. So it's only a subsidy. It's to help you with the cost, not cover all the cost.
Right.
So not everybody's going to get their full amount covered.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Yeah, I don't think 5,000 a year covers even just
No.
one child.
No.
I mean,
Let
it
alone-
basically kind of alleviate the pressure of
Right.
childcare.
Right.
Absolutely. We had employees calling, and they're getting rents are going up this year, especially with all the COVID programs that have been out there. People are having their rent raised, and this can make a difference on helping employees with the cost of living raises and stuff. It will help those employees subsidize that child care and help them meet the additional cost of living that they have.
Right, yeah, a $5,000 limit's not going to solve all your child care
No.
needs, but man, will it help,
Yes,
right? Man,
yes.
it'll help a lot.
Yes, we're really excited about this program and can't wait for the vendor to work out all the bugs so that we can
Right.
get started on it.
Right, because we know that most IRS employees, I would say, are underpaid, and we should get more for the
Absolutely.
work we do.
Absolutely.
So, especially one of my friends is a grade 3. Wow, that's low pay, right? If you're a grade 3 and you got kids, I don't know how you do it, right?
Right.
So that is a thing to
Yes.
remember, and that's why this is such a wonderful program. And I'm so proud that NTEU was able to negotiate it, and it's unfortunate we have to be patient, but we just got to be a little bit more patient. We're hoping in the next couple months this will become available, because the agency has an obligation to make this available,
Correct.
and an aspect of it is they're working through a third party. Did
Yes.
we say that already?
Yeah,
They're working
the
through a third
vendor.
party. They're going to hire a company to do this.
Yes.
And I don't know. So, moving on. Nikki, did you have a question you wanted to ask Shannon?
Actually, yes. So requesting time. We get a lot of people when we're in the room taking phone calls and answering questions on the amount of time or how to request time to visit with NTEU.
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes, that is a problem. Most employees, they believe that once they've either contacted NTU or an issue happens in the workplace and they want to visit NTU, that they can just come down to the office. That is not the case. Management still has to approve your time to visit with NTEU. Now, that is under the 990-59300 time code, but management is the only one that can approve that. So if you have an issue you want to raise with NTEU, the first thing you need to do is contact our office and see if there's a steward available to meet with you, because we are still social distancing. We still have a lot of employees that are staff that telework, so we have limited appointments in the office. So we recommend that you call the office first, then get that time scheduled, and then take it to your manager and request for time to go down and see NTEU.
Now, what about management limiting time, the amount of time you can actually come down and visit with NTEU?
Right. You're supposed to be allowed enough time to handle your issue. Okay, management based on workload, they can easily say, hey, I can give you 30 minutes. Well, realistically, by the time you walk down to our offices located in the lower part of first floor in the post office, and you're coming from possibly submission processing off the docks or something, almost 15 minutes of your time has already been used. So the fact is, if a manager has limited your time, what I would do is I would take the time, come down to the union office, and allow the steward to contact your manager and let them know that it's going to take more time.
Okay.
If you don't handle all of if they try to do it, a lot of managers are trying to say at the end of your tour, that's not necessarily the way they can do it as well. So the way we recommend, because like I said, we're limited on our time. So if we are saying that we have an appointment available at 2 and you don't get off till 2:30, that 30 minutes, if we don't handle it in that 30 minutes, we can always reschedule it for another day. You shouldn't have to be doing this on your own time.
It happens a lot of the time, I've found, and this is an aspect of this. Some managers seem to always think their employees are trying to get away with something.
Yes.
So if an employee says, hey, I think I need an hour to go talk to Nteu, the manager's going to be like, I don't think you do. And then the employee comes to me, and maybe their issue's really complicated, and they do need an hour. The manager's going to believe me a little bit more than the employee that they don't trust.
Unfortunately, yeah,
I think.
that's the way.
And
That's the way it has been
Yeah.
happening, and that's unfortunate that our managers automatically think that our employees are liars or cheats or
Right.
or stealing time. It's ridiculous, and we need to get away from that. But the fact is, if a steward calls the manager and tells them, hey, I'm sorry, or maybe I was caught in the middle of something and didn't get with that employee immediately when they got down here, but I still have the employee here. I'll call you when we're finished, and let you know when they're coming back up. We can work things out like that. So it is one of the problems we have. Where management doesn't trust the employees, and I wish that we could find a way to get away from that, because most employees are very honest.
It's called assuming good intent.
Yes.
I wish we had a culture of assuming good intent here, and that
Correct.
a lot of the problems we face actually are managers don't assume good intent.
Managers have a big assumption of guilt
Yeah.
for their employees.
Yes.
Right, and that's one of the things I always tell employees is be 100% honest, because the truth is that a manager can face an employee that's deceiving them once, and then they don't trust employees ever again.
Correct.
It happens. So please be really honest, and don't also, employees, I want to warn you, don't tell your manager you spent 2 hours with the union when you spent half an hour with the union.
That's right.
Don't do that. That's bad for everyone, and you're probably going to get caught even.
Right, and they can charge you AWOL if
Yeah.
if they determine that, because if they call down to the union office and say, hey, this employee's been gone for 2 hours, and where are they, and you're not in the office, we can't lie and say, oh yeah, they're still here. So be honest, and that way we can try to help build those relationships back. Also, the other thing is, you don't have to disclose why you're going to NTU. You could be coming and talking about retirement. You could be coming to talk about a career change. I mean, there's so many things that you can talk about that you don't have to disclose that I'm going to go file a grievance on you, manager, because, unfortunately, some managers take that a little personal, and, they try to interfere. So be honest, and, first find out if NTU is available, the time they're available, take that back to the manager, and then if they limit your time and stuff, take the time they give you and let NTU reach out to them to request additional time.
Yeah, I've never had the experience where I asked a manager to give an employee this amount of time and they pushed back.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Never. But I know employees have that reaction all the time. So
Right.
you can trust us to handle that for you, for
Right.
sure.
Right. And the other thing that I want to bring up is if an employee requests time for NTU and the manager says no, based on workload, management can deny you coming to NTU when you request. The contract allows you to toll or stay or extend the time frame for whatever your issue is. So, for example, you received an AWOL charge. You received it 14 days ago. You wait till the 14th day and you're trying to get a meeting with NTU, and your manager says, nope, we've got a deadline. I can't release you right now. Your next question should always be, so when can I go? And then if the manager doesn't give you an answer, then you go back and email your manager, because the best thing the best protection an employee has is putting things in writing. So if it was a verbal conversation with your manager and they told you, no, you cannot go to the union, and you know you have a 15-day time frame to file a grievance, go back to your email, send an email, even if it's from your personal phone, send an email to your manager and state, per our conversation on this date at this time, I requested to go to NTU and you denied me. I asked you when I could go, you did not provide that time. Then let NTU know that when you come down there, because if your 15-day time frame has expired, we're able to extend it because management did not provide you the opportunity to address your issue with NTU.
Now, with that, should they also bring down the email that they had sent of the per our conversation, et
Yes.
cetera, et cetera? Should they bring that down with them when they file
It
their
always
grievance?
helps to put that in the file, because if we file a grievance and management comes back and says it's not timely, we have documentation that this conversation happened, even if management does not confirm that that's what was said. You covered yourself by doing an email, and we recommend that on every situation. If you have a denial on anything, it is best to put it in writing. Follow up your conversations with emails so that you have it documented. Unfortunately, if it comes down to your word against management, a lot of times they believe in what the manager says.
Yeah, everything in writing, for sure,
Mhm.
for sure.
Sorry.
And really, I think, and I don't want to make an assumption, but I feel like a department manager does not like it if they see evidence that their manager is trying to deny employees' rights like that, because you have a right to representation. You have a right.
That's right.
And so they should not be using stalling tactics to try to avoid you taking advantage of that right. They should be figuring out how to get out of your way.
Correct. Correct.
And
it's rare that we see employees being denied. It really is rare. The bigger problem that we see is employees just coming down and they're not even asking for time to come to NTU, and they can be charged AWOL. And unfortunately, that's a battle that we have to fight for these employees, and we don't always win them. If you didn't ask to come down to see NTU, and you just walked off the area, management looks to charge you AWOL.
yeah, I want to talk about AWOL for a second, just because I think the point of AWOL is I don't know where my employee is, right? And that perfectly matches if you just walk off to go meet NTEU. Yeah, you've got a good reason, but still, they should know where you are. And what I see around this place sometimes is managers using AWOL as a weapon. Like, you didn't wait to get approval of this sick leave, so I'm giving you AWOL. Okay, but that could have been LWOP. You knew where they were. That's my philosophy, and I would die on that hill. I think if you know where the employee is, it should not be an AWOL charge, and I'm eager to fight grievances like that. But yeah, if you walk off, if you don't call in, if you don't send an email, if you just leave, then that's what AWOL is for. It's for you doing that. So please get approval so we don't have to figure out how to fight it when you sneak away from your work area to see NTEU. That is not the way to do it. The way to do it is to let your manager know that you need to go.
Right.
And they should work with you. And if they don't, let us know, because we can get them to. We can encourage them to work with you to get you that time that you deserve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And actually that segues into, the AWOL actually segues into sick leave request. When an employee asks for sick leave. I know that we have some concern of employees coming to the office with denials for requested sick leave. The contract's very clear in what information you have to provide when you request sick leave. It also is clear that you have to do it in advance if you can, within 2 hours of the start of your tour duty, if possible. There's always situations where you're not able to contact them immediately, but what an employee needs to understand is you're required to call in, text message, email, let your manager know that you are requesting a certain type of leave. So, for instance, if I'm calling in sick, the contract requires me to call in and say I'm incapacitated, what type of leave that I want to use and how much time, and a callback number if I'm not talking directly to the manager. So, be careful if you're trying to give too much information. Give what's required. And if the manager needs more information, they're going to contact you. And, so just know your rights under Article 34, which is this under sick leave, that you have the right to request it. You have the right to ask for annual leave in lieu of. You ask for sick leave. You can even ask for leave without pay or advanced sick leave in some cases. But remember, leave without pay and advanced sick leave is up to its manager's discretion, and they can ask you for more information to support it. So just remember that. Also, if you're asking for sick leave, there's certain members of your family that qualify for you to request sick leave for taking family members to the doctors. If you get familiar with Article 34 and its exhibits, you're going to protect yourself greatly. The exhibits 34-1 and exhibits 34-2 go into detail on who is considered family members. It also breaks down what's considered a serious health condition that could entitle you to advanced sick leave if needed. So I just want to bring your attention to that article and those exhibits. Those exhibits are just wealth of knowledge, and knowledge is power. And so if you know what your rights are under Article 34, when the manager says, hey, you need to bring me medical documentation for a one-day absence, you know whether or not they're entitled to ask you that. Because there's only limited situations where they can ask you that for anything less than 3 days absence. Okay?
Yeah. So that is true. I hope managers are not asking all the time, always, for doctor's notes. I don't think they are. But one thing to touch on also is advanced sick leave, because we get calls like this pretty often in the union office. People are like, I'm denied advanced sick leave.
Right.
Why? Why am I denied advanced sick leave? I'm sick. I provided documentation. And so what I want to let people know is advanced sick leave, the intention behind it is not, I've used all my sick leave and I have the flu today and I'm going to call in and ask for advanced sick leave. That's not the point of it. It's for if you have FMLA on file, or if you need to get your kidney taken out or something. If you have something that's serious and going to take you out of the office for a long time, that's what advanced sick leave is for. It's not for, I'm not feeling well today and I'm out of leave. And I think people get mixed up when they think that that's what it's for.
Yeah, if they'll go to that exhibit, it actually breaks it down to a definition of what a serious health condition is. 3 consecutive days out of the office, 1 or more visits with a physician. It has there's like 7 or 8 things that it lists. And then it also tells you what's not included. And flu is one of those things that's not included.
Right.
That is a normal occurrence, unfortunately, and especially nowadays, it's a normal occurrence for us for some type of virus. So get familiar with that exhibit, because it is very clear. The other thing that employees need to remember is when you're asking for advanced sick leave, you need to ask for it at the time of your absence. It is up to you to know how much leave you have on the books. So if you know you have no leave available and that you're going to possibly be eligible for advanced sick leave, ask for it at the beginning. If you're not eligible, they'll come back and tell you you're not eligible, and then they'll ask you what type of leave do you want to use. So remember, ask for it up front. If you have FMLA, put that on there. Approved FMLA changes whether it's discretionary or not. They still have to follow, and they have guidance on what makes you eligible for it. But if you have approved FMLA, it says they will grant you advanced sick leave. Now, there are some factors that take you out of being eligible. For instance, if you're already at 240 hours, or if there's a reason to believe that you're not coming back to work, and different things like that. So there are reasons they can deny it even under FMLA, but it takes it out of the discretion.
Also, if your FMLA is not related to what you're asking for sick leave for, like, for example, if you have FMLA for your kid who has a lot of health problems, and then you have a health problem, your FMLA doesn't cover that.
Right.
So you need, if you have a lot of health problems and your kid has a lot of health problems, maybe you should have both of those FMLAs filed. And if you have also, say you have terrible headaches and a leg that doesn't work very well, well, those are not related, right? So you're going to need FMLA on files. If you expect to have issues with both of those, you're going to need FMLA filed for both of those.
Right. And remember, just because you have multiple FMLAs, it does not mean that it's 480 hours for each FMLA. It is a total of 480 hours. And you guys got to be careful. You know, if you max out the advanced sick leave request for 240 hours, if you max that out, it's 2.3 years to pay it back completely. 2.3 years. So, you know, just realize that you know, it when you request this stuff, it takes a long time to pay it back, and you know, but you need to contact Nteu if there is a reason you've been denied and you qualify under FMLA or serious health condition. Contact us so we can know. But be upfront on your request form. Let them know if it's a serious health condition or if it's FMLA related. Let your managers know, so that we have it documented that you asked for advanced sick leave and the reason why you asked for advanced sick leave.
Yeah, because without the documentation, it can be your word against theirs very quickly.
Absolutely.
And that is tough to win. That is so tough to win.
And they also deny a lot of them because they're not asked for up front. If the employee didn't ask for advanced sick leave and they come in, they've been out for a couple of weeks because they've been seriously sick, and they come back in and said, oh, I didn't have enough leave to cover, now I want to put advanced sick leave. Management tends to come back and say that they can't retroactively give you advanced sick leave. Now, we can fight those cases, but unless we prevail, you know, you have to use some other type of leave, including no pay.
It can be a hard thing.
Yes.
It can be a hard thing to fight, and so that's just the way it is. It can be such a hard thing to fight if you haven't asked for it at the time, because they'll say they can't, and of course they can't. They could, but they're following the rules. If you've been out 2 weeks and then suddenly you ask for advanced leave, they're following the rules by not giving it to you. So it's a big challenge for us. Not to say we won't try to fight it, because we will, but it's a difficult journey.
Right.
What else did we want to talk about today?
Well, I do want to add, it just came out today. I don't know if everybody's seen it yet, but we were approved the 2 hours of holiday leave that we can use in December. Yeah.
Wow, that's early.
Just came out from the commissioners. So
That's
remember,
super early for approval.
it's 2 hours. 2 hours. You can use it in December, but you have to let your manager know. Now, some teams have luncheons. So, you know, we used to do that with my team. We used to go and have lunch somewhere. But if you choose, as an employee, if you choose not to participate in that luncheon, you're still able to use that 2 hours. But you have to get it approved by your manager on what day you want to use it. And it has to be in December.
Do we have a luncheon for all the stewards? Sorry, not the right time. So...
No. Something just dinged in my ear real loud. I was like, that's why I was like, I thought, time's up. Okay, so what did you ask? Because I couldn't hear over the ding.
Could we have a luncheon for all the stewards? That's what I said. Maybe?
It wouldn't
Let's think about
be, yeah, we could actually do
Okay.
that. If all the stewards want to participate in this and use that time, we could do that. So yeah, we'll discuss.
I want to say one thing about FMLA, just because people are confused at times. So I do want to say this one thing about it. It's not admin time. FMLA is not admin time. It's not free leave. And I think people sit and they're waiting for their FMLA to get approved because they think, oh, well, I'm out of sick leave. I'm going to get this extra paid leave. And that's not what it is, and that's not what it's for. The point of FMLA is they can't deny you or fire you for taking time off for this.
Up to 12 weeks.
Or rather, they have a lot more hoops they'd have to jump through if they want to fire you for taking this time off.
Yeah, we do have a lot of employees that think it's a guaranteed paid 480 hours, and that is not the case. Now, hopefully, with everything passing, we'll at least maybe see a little bit of paid leave, and then we have the paid parental leave that all fall under FMLA. But For normal FMLA purposes, it is the law that protects your job up to 480 hours or whatever was approved from medical, based on your medical. It is for leave without pay. Our contract, Nteu negotiates that we bargain for you to be able to use paid leave in substitute for it. So that's a very important part of this process. So the law gives you leave without pay and protects you up to 12 weeks. The contract, the negotiated agreement, allows you to substitute pay and to request advanced sick leave.
Okay, so since we are on the subject of FMLA, and I don't think it's quite been fully touched, what should employees expect when they submit their FMLA papers? Like, if they're out sick at the current moment, what should they expect?
If it's a new request for FMLA, you submit that either directly to FOH or you can submit it to your manager. Once it's submitted, management elevates it to usually ops manager or higher for approval. They can send it to FOH. They don't have to, but they can send it to FOH, which is the medical field that makes the determination on whether or not it's a serious health condition. You should be given provisional leave until that form comes back approved or denied. So if you've requested FMLA, your manager should give you some type of memo that says that you are on provisional leave until we get back an approval. If you're covered by provisional leave only, that's not a guarantee that you can get advanced sick leave while you're on the provisional stage, because the contract says that management will approve advanced sick leave for approved FMLAs. Now, again, there's like 6 things in the contract that you can be denied the advanced sick leave. For instance, if they don't feel you're going to be back at work and things like that. So remember, it's not a sure-in, it's not an automatic approval, but it is absolutely a factor that you can request if you have approved FMLA, not provisional.
What would you say to someone who comes to the union with the issue of, I applied for FMLA a month ago, and I'm taking time off, and I'm getting AWOLs while I'm waiting for my approval, and I have not heard anything? What would you say to a person in that situation?
We definitely need to reach out to the manager because they should be on provisional leave. The law requires management to respond within so many days. Well, we know that in government it doesn't necessarily happen within days. So I would recommend, if you are being charged AWOL and you have submitted FMLA paperwork and you just haven't heard back, I would recommend you contact NTU and let us contact that manager. You can also reach out to FOH directly, and you can find out where your form is. Has it been approved? Have they sent something back to managers? So if it's been a while since you've heard anything, I would recommend that you reach out to FOH directly and ask them, has this been approved? What's the status on my FMLA?
Okay. Yeah, it really bothered me when we were in our EPL journey, our emergency paid leave journey, that is just finally coming to an end now, that some managers would receive the application for emergency paid leave and they would charge the employees AWOL and send up the request for EPL, and then when it was approved, then they would overturn the AWOLs. Because I just thought, why would you do that? And so I worry about that happening to people waiting for FMLA.
We don't agree with that. The contract doesn't even say to do that. It actually states that if the employee doesn't provide the medical documentation timely, managers can go back and charge AWOL. Well, we know that many managers find it easier, let's just put it that way, many of them find it easier to charge the AWOL up front and then go back and change it. So, like I said, you guys need to be familiar with what the contract says under this stuff, because if FMLA is requested and you haven't heard anything within 15 to 30 days, there's a problem. Either it's been lost or it's sitting on somebody's desk and they haven't elevated it, or they got the response and they haven't notified you. So if you're waiting and it's been 15, 20, 30 days, you need to be contacting the FOH and find out for yourself. Contact your manager. Ask them, where's my FMLA? Why hasn't it been approved?
Right.
And
Okay.
that's pretty much what I had to bring to employees today. So I hope we covered. I know we covered a lot of information. So I hope it was clear enough. If not, we've talked about Article 34, which is sick leave. We've talked about Article 33, which is family leave. We've talked about Article 56, which is child subsidy. And what else? We talked about AWOL. We've talked about the awards.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we still don't have any dates on the return to office. We know that there are rumors out there on a date. We want to hear from employees on that too. If your manager has told you or sent you something saying that you're going to have to start reporting to the office regularly, or for your 2 days of pay period if you're a teleworker, and have given you a date, we need to know about it, because as far as we are aware at this time, that still is in the negotiation stages. So we're not aware of a set date. But be prepared, guys. It's coming. It is coming. And so we hope, we hope to hear something more in depth on that subject, but unfortunately managers are sending that out before we get notice.
So, in case this is unclear, she's talking to those of you that are the lucky few that are teleworking, because it's gotten
Right.
fewer and fewer these days.
And some that are just still not back in the office because they're on non-work status still
Right.
because of COVID.
Don't hold the assumption that if you're teleworking full-time now, you get to do that forever. Don't hold that assumption, because that is not something that has been promised to you. Unless you've signed a contract where that's been promised to you. And I guess there's probably a very, very small group of people that have signed something.
Yeah,
but
the contract is very clear. You're required to report a minimum 2 days of pay period. If that's different, we'll be all for it. Believe me, we encourage that. So, and just remember that, if you get a directive to come to the office, don't deny or refuse to follow the directive. Just let us know so that we can start addressing it, because you don't want to get in trouble for failure to follow directives and more issues coming out of it. So get in touch with us as soon as you find out something or have been asked to come in.
So, and if you're teleworking and you've never been told anything about coming back, it's safe to assume at some point you're going to have to come back part of your time. And so I would rather you assume you're going to have to come back and be surprised and happy when you don't, than just assume you won't have to come back. And
Better safe than sorry.
And I know already, because I have an incredible ability to see the future, somebody is going to call me and say, my work's totally portable. Why I shouldn't have to come back once a week. Well, I know. That's what my friends in accounting said to me too, and they did have to start coming back. So it can come for you. This is...
It's going to require us to all work together to get more and more areas covered under frequent telework. We open the door. We have a lot of new areas covered. Thousands of employees have now been approved. We're not done. It's going to take you guys working with us to prove the work is portable so that we can get you on frequent telework. But it's still not going to waive the requirement necessarily to report it at a minimum of 2 days per pay period. So keep that in mind that that's happening. Also, I did want to touch real quick, Daniel. I did receive a call yesterday in the office. An employee was asking about the disciplinary issues that are happening with the vaccine. One of the things that I did want to touch on, the question was, because Nteu National sent out a message stating that they had concerns about the discipline and the difference in how federal employees were being treated than other contractors and other employers that had 100 or more employees that were being mandated vaccines. So we want to make it clear, we're still under a mandate. It's mandated that we get vaccinated, and even if NTU files something, it doesn't change the fact that you have to come in or you have to get vaccinated to come in. So keep that in mind. Just because NTU's working on this, it doesn't change the fact that right now we're under that mandate and you are required to vaccinate. And then the other thing that I wanted to touch on is that letters went out. The letters went out. They're very lengthy, is what I'm hearing. I would love to see one. If any employees received one and wants to send it to me, it's Shannon, SHANNON.P.Ellis, ELLIS, at irs.gov. Please send me a copy of that letter, because I would love to see exactly what it says. But it's, from what I'm understanding, it's very lengthy, and it doesn't even talk about the future discipline, the next step, which is probation. It's suspension for employees that have been here for 1 year or longer. But if you're on a probationary period, they're removing you. So it is very important that you start the process of getting vaccinated with that first letter, or get in a reasonable accommodation, because if not, if you're a probationary employee, they're telling us they're terminating you. So contact us, let us know what your situation is, and then somebody send me a copy of that letter so I can see.
And always remember that I will always put any links we discuss about in here in the show notes, so you guys can always have access to them.
Mm-hmm.
I always make sure to give you guys full range access of what we are talking about as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
I hope nobody is sitting around thinking, I wonder if I should apply for a reasonable accommodation now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are, do that, please,
Mm-hmm.
because it's way late to be doing that now. But I mean,
Well,
it's not too late, so do
honestly,
it.
though, I've heard of one person who applied later
Mm-hmm.
for the religious accommodation and has had contact with a person in the RA section, whereas us who have applied at the deadline, we have not heard anything. We haven't been
Yeah,
counseled, but we haven't heard anything.
Right, and I'm not hearing anything at this time on pros or cons on how, if they're being approved or denied. I'm not hearing anything at this moment, but we know that that's going to be a tough battle. And our concern is that you do have a choice to make. You have a choice to either get vaccinated or not get vaccinated, or if you have a medical or religious reason, to submit that RA request. We don't know yet what the future holds for NTU's actions, and what exactly they may or may not do yet. I will update you the moment we have that information, but for now, the mandate, the directive to get vaccinated is there. If you receive the letter, you must make a choice. Either start the process, which would allow you a little more time to start the process and get that second vaccination if needed, or submit that reasonable accommodation request and hope to get that process through. But I just wanted to update you and let you know that if you haven't received those letters and you haven't been vaccinated, they are coming. They are coming. And then by the end of November, we're looking at suspensions and possibly removals happening.
And I see a little bit of confusion out there, so I do want to very briefly address that, and then we'll be done, I think. But it's just that I have seen people say things like, this mandate's being fought in the courts, so I don't know if this mandate's going to happen. And that is not 100% what's happening. The mandate that the president put on private businesses is being fought in the courts. The mandate that the president put on his employees is not being fought in the courts, at least as far as I know. It's not making news if it is.
Yeah, we don't know where they're moving with that. But here's the fact. It's not going to be in time for this November 23rd, no matter what, because it will have to be fought. And so if it comes down to that, you're taking your career in the hands of attorneys and the courts, the judges and stuff, to make these decisions. So I just want to let you know that it may not protect your job at this time. Now, of course, if there is a possible lawsuit and we end up prevailing, you could get your job back, but that's a long shot at this point. So your job is at risk right now if you have not vaccinated. And we encourage you to take actions and let us know if you need assistance from NTU on some of this.
Yep.
So I think we covered a big
Yeah.
span
So,
of topics today.
thank you
So-
for taking the time to be here with us.
Well, before we wrap it
Uh-huh.
up, I have a cute holiday idea for our lovely podcast. Don't give me that look, Daniel.
You're gonna put us on the.
Go
you're gonna
on.
Put us,
Go
you're gonna
on.
Put
It's
us
not the
in-
aliens. I promise it's not the aliens.
Go on.
I would like any of our listeners to send, and I will put a different email in the link in our show notes. Wow, I cannot talk today. For this, I would like any of our listeners who want to reach out with their holiday tradition that they do in their family and would like to share it on our podcast. Let me know. We have a bunch of Wednesdays that we usually record. I was thinking maybe we could do like 3 episodes in December since we have the time limit in December. Doing the 15th of December, having our holiday Christmas theme of a podcast and being able to
like
kind
that
of
idea.
discuss our holiday traditions and
I
find
like
out
that
from our
idea.
employees
Let's-
what they do for their Christmas.
Right. Instead of all
Or
negative stuff all the time,
Hanukkah or
instead of all
Yeah.
negative stuff, let's bring a little fun stuff. That I think that's a great idea.
So-
and I don't have a problem
We,
with that.
we probably will have to talk about weather leave again, though. But
of course, Daniel always has to be serious,
and
you
building
know.
closure, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sure,
Daniel,
yeah.
Daniel. But yeah, like if you guys have a Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, any sort of tradition, I will have a link in the description for an email. Send it over to me and let us know so we can get this together.
Perfect.
Maybe we can get the board together and have their holiday traditions and they can be featured so
Yeah.
people can see our lovely board.
Executive board. Yeah, let's see what we do for a tradition. Spoil
All
my
right.
grandbabies.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
And
Yes, thank you.
have a great day.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving to people.